You live in
a sunken place.
Now you're in the sunken place.
Genre is difference within repetition. You expect a thriller to keep you on your toes, but you also expect your expectations to be defied every now and then. We need conventions to establish a genre, but a genre must use them differently to keep things fresh. This is exactly how Get Out stands out in its category of scary films. Politeness and benevolent encounters don't sound like horror, but within a certain context, these dynamics can easily become uncanny and difficult to read. Enough sugarcoating eventually feels artificial, off-putting, a transitional uncanniness that must dissolve into either acceptance or fear. Without exotic settings or gimmicks, Get Out is a movie that will terrify you existentially. It's widely based on the atrocities and persistence of racism in modern society, but it translates this issue into a sort of monster that frightens all, not just the victims of racism. Get Out seems to force a deeper effect for a systemic, destructive issue where argumentation can often fall short purely through fear. In this context, embodied terrors become universally legible, and that's the beauty of horror. Get Out is a movie about a photographer, Chris, and his girlfriend, Rose, taking a trip together to meet her parents at their suburban home, where things get pretty messed up. The whole family seems polite, but their comments shift from innocent to ignorant to hostile. Eventually, we find out their evil scheme of luring Black people into this home to use their bodies as vessels for the aging members of the family. Thank you, Jordan Peele. Within any context, this is a terrifying concept, but it does matter that these characters are inherently racist, and we're about to find out why. At the beginning of the movie, Rose's family acts curious, sometimes admirative towards Chris. They don't think of themselves as racist, they're just being observative in an awfully ignorant way. Renee Nicole Allen defines this as benevolent racism, the masking of racial dehumanization through a language of fairness and equity. She and theorist Gillian Boger discuss the misconception of a post-racial society. Some people think if racism is no longer legally implemented in the Constitution, it does not happen anymore, which couldn't be more wrong. It's even more dangerous this way because it becomes more difficult to confront due to this benevolence coding. Get Out demonstrates this difficulty, this inability to fight back, a strange uncertainty that persists throughout the rest of the film. Besides the obvious, the music is ominous, the setting feels wrong, and people are overly smiley and unnatural and just stiff. We understand Chris and his uneasiness, as he is surrounded but increasingly alone. This embodied, unique terror of racism as the movie's main monster begins as uncertainty, something universally frightening, something you can only sit with before you can explain it into peace. This is where genre plays the biggest role. Robin Wood describes horror films as society's collective nightmares, stories that externalize what society represses to function normally. This is what makes the genre succeed. It manifests and freely exaggerates these repressions. Horror works primarily through effect, by tugging on these shared anxieties about loss of safety, control, and expectations. Get Out is broadly about racism, but it uses horror this way to express the terror, significance, and persistence of the issue, simply by strategizing genre conventions such as uncanniness, intense uncertainty, broken trust or expectations, vulnerability, and isolation. These are deeply functional. By that I mean they work precisely because of our cultural, established, shared human anxieties. Get Out uses culturally ingrained fears to make us feel the way that Chris feels, to make us anxious and uncertain and unable to predict the atrocities that are yet to unfold. We're scared before the evident horrors even occur, and therefore made aware of racism's realities without having to directly identify. Get Out uses horror to expose the hierarchical roots of benevolent racism. Alexandra Hawke recognizes this, stating that the movie underscores racism as the true horror, an injustice made visible where racialized control is often disguised. Yet, the most interesting function of horror here is not merely exposing societal issues or framing them as monsters. It's making them feel urgent, malicious, and dangerous. In this movie, horror makes racism a bodily threat, and it makes fear its vessel for understanding, translating the embodied experience of racism into a universally comprehensible fear. Picture this, the sunken place. A state of awareness without agency. It's where you're stuck after half of your brain is surgically replaced by someone else's. And they control you, dominating your body, but all you can ever do is stand by and watch.
Distance will be as a passenger.
Without relying on overt violence, Get Out makes racism monstrous. Its domination and significance impossible to ignore.
White black people.
Who knows?
This is what's so smart about Get Out. It doesn't have to explain what's wrong to make you feel that it is. It's a remarkable movie because it tries to stir up your anxiety so that you cannot ignore the relevance of its critical discussion. It poses a great argument just by freaking you out into not wishing Chris's situation on your worst enemy. By exposing benevolent racism, using horror conventions, and encoding a systemic issue into the language of fear, Get Out makes the embodied experience of racism universally legible. Sure, genre changes the mood, but it can also realize seemingly abstract issues and carry out confrontations of things that we don't want to think about but should. And without having to be Chris or Andre or a potential victim of extreme racist acts, we are forced to fear the same exact monster that's out to get them.
Paralyzed.